Hello, and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue. This is what you've all been waiting for.
Yes, this is what you've listened for.
It's so exciting. We're ready. Remind the people, what is this week all about,
This
Simone?
week, we are finally tackling the Twilight Saga.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we are. Now, we haven't done all five movies, because we're not fucking nuts.
No.
But we have done, I'm doing the first Twilight movie, and to round it off really nicely, Simone is hitting up the final part, Twilight Breaking Dawn, Part 2. So it's an exciting week, and if this is the first week that you've joined us, well, good
Welcome.
on you. You know, you've got 23 back episodes that are all leading to the culmination of this moment.
Oh, man, get ready for some tangents. Get ready for two 25-year-olds to try to tell you about life.
Oh, you're welcome. That's all I can say. But yeah, if you haven't joined us before, this is the podcast where we tell you to cheer up. We tell you to watch bad movies, and we tell you it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. You can still enjoy a bad movie, and we're going to tell you why.
Yeah, but don't fall into the trap that Simone and I have, where we look at any movie these days, and if it has a cohesive plot and decent acting, we're like, yeah, that's a brilliant fucking movie.
Yeah, it's great. It's actually a really nice way to live your life, to be honest.
Yeah. It is true, but it is kind of debilitating when you can't actually tell a good movie from a bad movie anymore. Like, I can't do that anymore.
Although these days I am much better at knowing exactly why I don't like a movie.
That's good. That's nice. Yeah. So what's an actual bad movie that you've seen lately that you're like, wow, this is actually bad, and this is my reasoning?
For this podcast, I mean...
I mean, I know this podcast takes a lot of our time.
It really does.
I mean, I put you on the spot, so if you can't think of any.
Oh, I haven't been watching a lot of movies lately. Except for this podcast. Well, I could say I loved Bird Box, but I know exactly which parts made it not as good as it could have been.
Yeah, and it has kind of taken the internet by storm.
Yes.
Which
I'm glad about. It's a great concept. Yeah. I'm very happy for the author of the book.
And Sandy Bullock is just like...
Oh, kills it.
Much like, a pizza guy on his round, she delivered. Thank you, everyone. That was the joke I've been working on all week.
And this podcast is over now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go. Simone, if you want to take over, that's absolutely fine. Cool. Bring back bring back your friend from one of the earlier episodes, Raquel. She did so much better than I did. So this is your podcast now, and thanks everyone. Cheers.
Oh boy, Chad. To get us through this episode, what are you drinking?
That was the most awkwardly brilliant segue I've ever heard.
I'm gonna start all my segues with, oh boy.
That's so magical. Oh. Right, so this week I am drinking a Silver Bay Point Rosé, light and fruity, much like myself. Light and refreshing with hints of ripe red summer fruits.
I would describe you that way.
Who wouldn't? I mean, it's produced from imported grape juice.
Oh. Not even imported grapes, just grape
juice. Just the grape juice. And I've also noticed that the label isn't even on straight. Oh, it's suitable for vegetarians and vegans.
Oh, vegan wine. That's exciting.
Vegan wine. That's wonderful. No wonder it only costs £3.50.
Everybody knows that the best wine has cruelty in it.
And it's only a humble 8% this week. So something that you can go on a light jog after you finish the whole bottle.
That sounds lovely. Is that your intention today?
Well, I've decided I'm going to be an upper-class New Yorkan mom. So what I'm going to do is I'll drop the kids off at their private school. Then I will drink with Bethany and Bernice. We'll have a nice brunch with mimosas. Then I'll go home and I'll sleep with the pool boy and drink a whole bottle of Silver Bay Rosé. And then I'll go for a light jog just to keep it tight for my husband, who is off in Japan right now.
And hasn't touched you in years.
Hasn't touched me in years. Sometimes I get into hobo fights just to feel something.
That sounds amazing. Oh my god. Congrats to you on finding your dream.
This is who I was meant to be.
I hope to join you on many of those boozy brunches.
Oh, you will, my dear friend. How could I ever leave you out? You are my boozy brunch friend.
Aw, that's the nicest thing.
That's your surname in my phone. It says Simone, boozy brunch friend.
I'd love that.
It would be so good. I might actually change it to that. And what are you drinking, Simone?
I'm drinking a classic something that is now a classic on this podcast, which
Simone's classic drinks.
Good old screwdriver.
Oh, yeah. Is that your drink now?
I've got some orange juice. Well, it's just my drink. We've got this. It's the same bottle of vodka. It has been the same bottle of vodka this whole podcast.
Good Lord, Simone.
But it's just because we've always got it in the house, and then I've always got orange juice in the house, so it's just kind of my drink that I have if there's no open wine or beer.
I mean, that's fair, but finish that bottle. Come on now. It's 2019.
It's close. Look at that.
Okay, good.
With any luck, by the end of this podcast.
Oh man, then you're going to just be steaming. I mean, I hope you don't have any plans for the rest of the day.
No, I actually have the house to myself this evening. I'm quite excited.
Oh, dreams.
I know. I don't know what I'm going to do. There's too much.
Are you just going to sit around in your underwear, eat halloumi, and watch repeats of 30 Rock?
Oh my god, how did you know? Honestly, that does sound like a perfect evening, plus like a face mask. I mean, ugh.
Oh my god. Could you imagine?
I don't have to.
No, this is what you're going to do. This is your life. This is your evening.
Yeah, thanks for helping me decide.
You're welcome. I mean, what is your rich New Yorker mistress lady friend for? And I hope that's my name in your phone.
Rich New York and mistress lady friend? Yes.
Good. I'm so happy. Look at us, reaching our dreams.
And it's so early in 2019 still.
Exactly. That glass ceiling doesn't exist for us. Do you want to do your amazing segue into the next bit?
I mean, I think it makes sense, obviously, for you to go first, since you're the one doing the first Twilight movie, and for me to go second, so we can just give the listener the whole story.
Okay, that's fair enough. Skipping out all the bits that don't actually matter, like the middle two movies.
The middle two movies need not have happened.
No. Okay, well then let us begin. I'm super excited. Twilight, number 1, called Twilight. So here's a synopsis, and I realize it's not a very good synopsis. I've realized that I'm not good at synopses writing, and I'm okay with it, to be honest. I don't think IMDb would ever employ me for that job, and I'm okay with that. So yeah.
Your synopses aren't terrible.
They're not good. They miss out a lot of the plot, but I mean...
You get the point across, and honestly, if people want more of the plot, they can just watch the movie, you guys.
That's a good point. I think that should be like a thing on IMDb at the bottom. It just says, if we've left anything out, watch the movie.
Yeah. Easy.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Right, so here we go. Twilight, Episode 1, Return of the Vampire. Bella Swan, played by Kirsten Stewart, is moving to Forks to live with her dad, Charlie, played by Billy Burke, since her mum, played by Sarah Clark, is moving to Florida with her new boyfriend, played by Matt Bushell, and no one would willingly move to Florida if they had the choice not to. Forks is cold, wet, and dark all the time. Bella also has no friends there, so she's not peachy keen to go, but hey, it's still better than Florida. Once in Forks, she meets her dad's best friend, Billy Black, played by Jill Birmingham, and his nephew, Jacob, played by Taylor Lautner. They are Native Americans who live on the reserve nearby. Bella goes to school, and for some reason she immediately becomes the hottest thing on campus. She has tons of friends, all the boys are falling for, and she's just having a great time. One day, whilst having lunch, she looks across the room to see 5 extremely pale-faced, perfect youths. These are the Cullens, a weird group of stunning people who keep to themselves and live in the woods. Edward Cullen, the youngest of the family, played by Robert Pattinson, notices Bella and can't stop staring at her with a pained expression. Later, we see Bella standing in front of a fan, her scent blowing towards Edward, who looks pained again and inconsolable. Like any human, Bella feels self-conscious about this and wants to know why Edward is acting weird. Edward disappears for a few days, his eyes turn from black to a shade of hazel brown, and he can finally start talking to Bella. He jumps between wanting to hang out with her and not wanting to hang out with her, telling Bella he's dangerous and that she should stay away from him, and then telling her that he needs to protect her. One night, while Bella is out, she runs into some trouble with some local assholes, and boom, out of nowhere, Edward is there to protect her. She touches his hand and realizes how cold his skin is. Like any human, she's completely confused and decides to find out more about this dude. She goes on Google, not Bing, woo, and comes to the logical conclusion that he is a vampire. Like no human ever would, she confronts him on this, and he confirms that this is so. She's sort of safe around him now because his family don't drink the blood of people, only animals. With this out of the way, they then fall in love with each other. Edward confesses that Bella's blood is like his own brand of heroin, and he's worried he won't be able to control that makes you ugh?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not 100% sure he understands what heroin is. But okay, if I pick apart everything, we just won't get through this.
All I'm gonna say is, so the lion fell in love with a lamb.
Oh, fuck off.
The best line of the whole fucking thing. Right, back to it. Own brand of heroin, and he's worried he won't be able to control himself around her. He can also read everyone's mind but hers. They start dating, hanging out more, and doing things together to the general upset and surprise of the whole school. One day, the Cullens decide to play baseball. They can only do this when there is a massive storm because of how hard they hit the ball. Suddenly, 3 other vampires come to join them. These vampires have been kind of fucking up the whole town of Forks for the last week or so, killing friends and shit, and the Cullens kind of realize that, they're vampires in their area, but they can't find the vampires for some reason. So, these vampires, unlike the Cullens, do drink human blood. They catch a whiff of Bella and are so super keen to eat her. The Cullens defend her, wow. I wrote here, and the 2 vampire squads separate, but I didn't write 2 as in the number 2, just 2. Whew, my grammar, amazing. So the 2 vampire squads separate. Unfortunately, one of the human-eating vampires, James, played by Cam Gigandent, yeah, that's fine, is an expert hunter and now thinks that killing Bella will be his ultimate hunt. Edward and the fam try to misdirect him, but that plan fails. James lures Bella to an old ballet studio she used to go to and puts on a big to-do about killing her. James bites Bella, she is now infected. Edward rushes in and, with the help of his family, they kill James. Edward now has to make the choice, either let Bella become a vampire or suck the poison out of her. The problem with that latter is that, with her blood tasting oh so good, he might not be able to stop. But he tries anyway, and hey, he succeeds. She doesn't become a vampire, and Edward is able to stop. She recovers from the ordeal, and they go on being in love. The end.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. It was a beautiful film. You know, I've waited every day, waited for you, and I would die 1,000 years.
That's exactly how the song goes, yeah.
Right? I thought so. I've got the lyrics up on screen. So I'm reading verbatim.
Verbatim?
Verbatim. You know, with my oculuses.
So, what did you enjoy about this movie?
I thought the soundtrack was very good.
The soundtracks for all of the movies are pretty solid.
They are really good. I mean, when these movies came out, and I know we're not talking about New Moon, which is the second one, but I was super into Death Cab for Cutie when New Moon came out. And they did the title song, Meet Me at the Equinox, for that film. Oh. And you know, being a Death Cab fan, I was like, well, now I've got to watch this film.
You did not.
I did.
Yeah, you didn't have to watch it, though.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, yeah. No, that's true. But, you know, when you're 13. Plus, I was dating a girl at the time who was really into these movies and books and stuff. Yeah. So,
yeah,
you know.
No, fair enough.
The things you do for love.
All the books when they came out. I think I watched the first couple of movies. And then I grew up.
And then you realized what a good movie was.
Well, here's the thing. One thing that really impressed me when I was watching this movie again was I'm really happy with how, like, my ideas of what a good relationship looks like have changed.
Yeah.
Because now I watch it, I'm just like, oh, red flag, red flag, red flag. Mm-hmm. And back then you're like, oh my god, that's so romantic. Oh my god, that's so beautiful. Like, he wants to eat her, but he loves her too much, and like it's not that romantic anymore. If a guy tells you he wants to kill you, but, like, he's holding himself back. Like, that's how you end up on, like, a murder documentary, you know, about those guys who murder their wives. Like, that's how you end up there.
Yeah, crimes of passion are not cute.
Mm-mm.
I mean, yes, when you're a teenager, you know, and you've got all these hormones coursing through your body.
Your body's exploding all the time.
Yeah. At that point in your life, your body is not a wonderland. And, you know, it may feel good to love someone so much that you want to hurt them, but it's not.
No.
Just generally, it's not good to hurt another person, especially if you love them.
Yeah, and it's maybe not a good idea to be in a relationship with someone who's actively said that they want to murder you.
Yeah, even if they're a vampire. I mean, like...
Sometimes innate, implicit trust in someone just isn't enough.
Yeah, like, if you started dating a cannibal and he was like, oh, I want to eat you, but I'm not, you would probably stop dating the cannibal.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, you know, just because he's, like, immortal. Also, like, here's my biggest problem with maybe the whole series.
I'm so excited.
Is, like, before we started recording, we were talking about how, like, it would be really cool to be, like, hot for another 300 years.
Yeah.
So if that happened, say... would the main thing you do just be, like, high school over and over again?
Oh, no. It really, really would not be.
You can literally do anything. You have all the money, all the strength, all the looks, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go to high school in the middle of nowhere.
And not even just, like, one time. They've been to this high school before.
And high school, like, I've gotta say, it does not look like it's gotten any better since I was there.
No, it looks much, much worse.
Yeah.
And can you imagine, like, I can't barely stand being around a 16-year-old now.
Yeah.
And I'm only 25. Can you imagine being 600 and being around 15 to 17-year-olds?
With their dumb 15 to 17-year-old problems.
Like, you've literally seen plague, famine, murder, slavery.
And it's like, I truly could not care less about Billy inviting you to prom.
Like, how? No.
And, like, they don't even seem to enjoy it. Like, they don't even seem to be like, oh, you know, young people are so dynamic or whatever. They, like, don't even talk to the other high school students. So it's like, what are you getting out of this experience?
Yeah, for reals. And also the fact is as well, like, all the other vampires in the Cullen family, like, have also, like, started dating other vampires.
Yeah.
Like, but Edward is not made fun of at all for dating a child.
Yeah.
Like, at all. I feel weird if I, like... Yeah, if I look at an 18-year-old...
it would be fucking weird.
Yeah, like, I think you would punish me a lot with hilarity. Even if I was truly in love with this 18-year-old, there would be non-stop, you know, ridicule and you know, playful ribbing.
Yeah.
As we like to call it in our, you know, quarter of a century. But it's not mentioned at all by the rest of her family. They're all like, yeah, that's fine. Like, she is a child, you are over 100, and it's okay.
I think the important thing here, and I don't... like, at the top of this podcast, because I'm going to go into it a lot, is I don't want to say that I'm maligning religious people. I think whatever path that you pick for your life, if you're happy with it and, like, comfortable with it, like, that's great. I don't want to malign people who, like, settle down straight away and have kids straight away. Like, good for you if that's what you want. But, that being said, this movie was written by an extremely Mormon... well, the book was written by an extremely Mormon author.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and you can tell because the whole book has this character that, like, fixates her whole life and personality and goals and plans on this one supposedly perfect but really dangerous guy that she meets. And, you know, she goes through a lot of really dangerous situations for this dude and doesn't think twice about it.
Just like the Mormon religion.
Yeah, and it's upsetting to watch now. Like, again, I don't see anything wrong with, like, making sacrifices for someone that you care about and, like, you know, doing all that. I just think, like, it's a weird example to give teenage girls.
Yeah. And but, I mean, no one writes a book with the thinking that it's going to go, you know, and be this massive thing.
No, I don't think
no one writes a book and it's like, no one writes a book and goes, this will be the next Harry Potter. Yeah. No one's thinking that. But if you are writing something that's going out into the general public, make sure that the message, you know, is going to be a safe one.
Or, I don't know, give a balanced view. Like, even if Bella is doing that, then have a character that isn't. Like, you know, talk about it. But I think also we're all in a bit more of an enlightened age. I think kids these days are a bit more woke than we were back then.
We hope so, Simone. We hope so.
Like, teenage girls these days are so much cooler than I was. Like, they're like, I don't need no men. Like, they're all strong, independent women, and they're still 13. It's amazing.
Don't give them power. What are you doing? Don't tell them we think they're cool. Why are you trying to hurt us?
Cool to 13-year-olds.
You heard it here first, folks. Simone's trying to
I just want young
get on
kids
there.
to think I'm cool.
Are you gonna be like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls?
I'm a cool mom.
I'm a cool mom. I'd rather you drank in the house. So, to answer your question of 15 minutes ago, I liked the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I liked the costume design.
Yeah.
I liked his Volvo. I've always wanted a Volvo because of him.
Very safe car.
Very safe car. There's a cameo from the author, Mrs. Mayer, or Miss Mayer.
Oh, when is that?
So they're in the diner, and the diner lady goes, "Here's your veggie burger, Miss Mayer," and she like smiles, and then it cuts to Bella, to Bella and her dad.
In all fairness, that is much better than all of Stephen King's cameos in his movies.
What?
He does a couple of cameos, but it was like the height of his drug addiction, so he's just
superb.
Clearly on coke.
That beautiful man. Oh, what an absolute champion.
I love Stephen King.
Like, my favourite thing about Stephen King, and this will be the only tangent of this podcast, obviously. What I love about Stephen King is when he was in an interview talking about Cujo, and he was just like, I really wish I remembered writing this book, because it's awesome. And I'm like, what a fucking legend. I wish I could be so coked out of my mind. That's the level of writing I
aspire to, is just to be like, oh shit, I did that.
Yeah, just like, oh, I've taken a whole shit ton of drugs, and I've created this beautiful masterpiece of a book. How?
What a guy. Anyway, returning to other writing.
Returning to this, yeah. I mean, look, the story in itself is problematic, but, you know, it is a lovely story. It's cute in itself. Alice is adorable, just as a human being. And it's just really nice to see sort of, you know, a development of a relationship like that, because it isn't a conventional relationship. And and it's just nice to see her family so accepting, and like, you know, it's always terrifying when you meet your loved one's family, because you know their judgment of you from that meeting can really affect the relationship. It does. You may say that it doesn't, but it always will. And like, it's scary enough then, but knowing that they are actual monsters who want to kind of eat you, it adds like a whole new level to it.
That's a good point. Building on that, I also really loved Bella's dad. Like, he was probably my favorite throughout the whole movie. Like, Billy Burke just did such a good job playing this guy who, like, doesn't understand having a teenager at all. He's just trying to be a cool dad, and he's, like, worried about her all the time. And the scene where she, like, kind of has to break his heart, so he'll let her, like, leave in a hurry is genuinely sad, because you can tell, like, he's just so excited to have his daughter back. And, like, so that was actually a really good performance, I thought. And, like, he and his best friend are so cute together. Like, it's just nice.
It is really nice. It is a cute relationship. And he is a good dad. Like, he plays a good dad.
Yeah. Just awkward as hell, trying to understand a teenage girl's brain.
Which no one can.
No.
No one can.
Not like, even teenage girls.
It's an enigma wrapped in a mystery. It's so beautiful. So yeah, I mean, what else did you like about it apart from Billy Burke, the perfect man?
I low-key, like, I really enjoy Alice and Jasper as a couple. Mm-hmm. They're so cute and ridiculous, and, like, that made me really happy. Yeah,
they are the perfect couple, and I love Jasper. Like, he's not hot in this movie, but he's really gorgeous in the next four.
He's just a beautiful human being.
Like, his hair just becomes spectacular in the next film. I wanted that haircut for so long.
Oh, really?
I really did. I saw it and I was like, do I ask the barber to do that? Or do I just keep that stum? Because it's really awkward going to a barber and being like,
I want to look like the dude in Twilight, but not that one.
Yeah, but not that guy. You know, one of the backup characters that has about 6 lines. Yeah. If you could do that for me, I'd be well chuffed. Because my barber at the time, during the Twilight series, I went to go see High School Musical 3 with a girl I was trying to infatuate,
I'm
I guess.
seeing a pattern here, but okay.
Yeah. So I went to see High School Musical, and I told my barber about this, and he made fun of me for like the next 6 haircuts.
So you couldn't have brought up Twilight.
So if I brought up Twilight, this is the same barber who I had made a huge mistake because he looked like he was very emo/scene.
Mm.
So he asked me what music I was into, and I told him Under Oath, which is like a Christian heavy metal screamo band. And I said you would probably like him too, on the assumption that he was an emo scene guy. And he was like, why would you think that? And I was like, well, they're a screamo Christian rock band. They're pretty cool. And he thought that I was Christian.
Oh,
and
no.
I was too awkward to tell him that I was Jewish after he assumed that. So he kept asking me, like, when was the last time I got saved? When was the last time I went to church?
And you're like,
and I just had to make it up. Yeah, he was like, when was the last time you got saved? And I was like, well, a couple of years ago.
Why did you go with it?
Because I was too awkward to say otherwise, Simone.
That's really funny.
So this is the guy I couldn't possibly tell that I wanted Jasper's haircut.
I will say, like, the more of these movies I watch, the more, like, Bella and Edward are honestly the worst parts of the movies. Bella's, like, an absolute asshole. Like, she shows up at this new school, and everybody is so nice and so accepting, which, like, I moved schools a lot. Like, that doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
But she still acts like she's doing these people a favor by hanging out with them. They're so nice. They include her in everything without question. But, like, anytime she gets a chance to fuck off, she's like, okay, bye, guys. Like, you're so lame. I'm so smart. Everybody's so mature, and I'm really mature. And, like...
Yeah, she really is such a bitch. Like, there's that dressmaking scene. Dress going to get the dresses scene. And she's in there with Anna Kendrick and the other lady. I do apologize that I don't know her name. So they're in the dress thing, and she's just sitting there. She's, like, doing whatever she is. And Anna Kendrick's like, what do you think of this dress? And she's like, yeah, it's fine. And that was my impression of of Kristen Stewart, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone.
Well done.
That was me again. Thanks. They're like, she's like, you're really not into this. And she's like, no, the whole reason I came was to go to this bookstore down the thing. She fucking tells them that she had, like, ulterior motives and she wasn't supposed to. She's not, like, even there for them. Like, what? They've been so nice to you. And you're just spitting it in their faces.
The least you could do is, like, be cool while they try on dresses. And, like, Edward obviously does not want to meet her friends or, like, hang out with her and her friends. And she doesn't even try to make it happen. She's like, I don't need them. I've got you. Which is also not healthy behavior in a relationship. And they're just both, like, such assholes. And these kids, like, keep being nice to them throughout all the books.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, why would you do that? And then she, like, meddles in their lives. She's like, to the one guy who asks her to prom. Yeah. She's like, oh, you should ask the other girl. Mm-hmm. And he asks her... Like, don't manipulate people like that. That's crazy. Don't do that.
It's just weird. It's like, ugh.
She's a bad person.
Both of them are just... I guess they deserve each other.
That's a nice thing to say, as well. Just, you deserve each other.
So do you have any interesting trivia about this movie?
I don't. I couldn't be fucked to go and look, to be honest. Like, I just couldn't...
Do you want to just go straight to, like, a scene that could have saved it?
Yeah, let's just fucking move on, because I just can't with these people. So, for me, it was the danger of James. Like, they spent so long in this film, like, establishing everything, and I do understand you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to establish and make it creepy that he's a vampire and whatever. But then, like, the ending was shoved into, like, 20 minutes. It's like, oh, here's James killing Bella, here's James dead. Like, I wanted to see... like, proper James, like, is a fucking badass murderer.
Yeah.
And, like, just, really makes everyone proper scared so that we're now really on Team Bella and Team Edward to fuck this guy up. But it was just like, oh, okay, well, we've got to have some conflict right at the end of this film to actually make it worth, doing. So let's just put a guy who will die like that. Really underwhelming as a villain.
Fair enough.
Disappointing. Yeah. So how about you? What was your scene that could have saved it?
I'm gonna say this all the way up to Breaking Dawn too, is you're not, like, sure why they like each other. Like, he's very broody and intense and handsome, I get it, and she's, like, mysterious because he, like, can't read her mind. But, like, what do they do when they hang out? It looks like they just chill out in meadows and forests and, like, stare into each other's eyes.
Yeah.
What kind of movies do they like to watch together? Are they interested in traveling together? What kind of inside jokes do they have? Like, I would say, it looks so sad because they never really, like, belly laugh together.
No.
And I cannot imagine marrying someone who doesn't make me, like, laugh constantly.
It makes no sense. And I mean, they started dating because of this movie. Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart. They started dating because of this movie. What? Maybe that's actually why there's no, like, on-screen chemistry. Is because, you know, a lot of people say if there's on-screen chemistry, there's no chemistry between them off stage. And the opposite is equally true. So maybe that's why...
Yeah.
You know, their relationship makes no sense because they actually did. But that wouldn't explain why in Breaking Dawn Part 2 you didn't believe anything, because they had broken up at that time because she cheated on him.
What? Oh, yeah.
That's my interesting trivia. That's it. That's all I've got.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, well, apparently, like, it's not proved, but allegedly she cheated on him with the director.
Oh,
which makes no sense because she's a woman. I mean, yeah, lesbian relationships and everything, that's not what I'm saying is weird, but, like, Kristen Stewart has not been proven to be a lesbian or anything like that.
I mean, sexuality's a spectrum.
That's true. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a really good point. There is no reason why these people should be together.
Yeah, and I just
apart
would
from
like to
they're made
see
for
a
each
bit
other
more of a
because they're
scene
boring.
of them, like, agreeing on stuff, or, like, having the same sense of humor about something. Like, all we see is that they kind of like the one same song when they're hanging out in his room, which, like, I'm sure I like a lot of the same songs that someone completely opposite to me likes, but that doesn't mean that we're gonna fall in love.
Yeah, exactly. You like Paramore's Misery Business.
Everybody does. It's a universally enjoyed song.
Exactly. But you and I have never fallen in love and sat in a meadow
We've
staring
never
at
stared at each other longingly because we both found out that we agreed that we liked the song.
And you know what's weird about it as well? It's Debussy. That's what's in his fucking thing. Like, Debussy is classical music. What?
What kind of fucking nerd? Like, nothing against people who like classical music, but it looks like Bella doesn't even, like, play an instrument.
No. And then she's like, yeah, I love Debussy. It's like, what? No, you fucking don't. You just think he's attractive, so you want to just...
liar. Look,
yeah,
we've
you're
all
a dirty
lied
liar.
and said we like things we don't like.
Shit, I said I like Twilight for this girl.
I went to play D&D with all my friends for, like, years, and eventually I was like, I actually hate playing D&D. Like, we've all done it.
That doesn't mean you get married and shit.
Mm-mm.
It makes no sense. Yeah, I agree. Their relationship is outrageous. Alright then, let's move on. Bad director, bad film. Okay, so this is Catherine Hardwicke. We've spoken about her before when you did... Female director? Whoop whoop.
Oh, she did Jennifer's Body?
I thought she did Red Riding Hood.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, she did Red Riding Hood. So, she did that, and we've spoken about her before. She's also done This Is Us, which is a TV show which looks fucking sad.
This Is Us.
Yeah,
because it's directed immediately at me.
If this is the one I'm thinking of, and I'm going on IMDb right now to check it. Oh yeah, this is the really cute one.
With Milo
It looks
Ventimiglia.
amazing. Yeah, it looks really, really cute. So he did the first episode, which is, you know, the most important episode. We all know this.
She.
Sorry. So yeah, I trust her as a director. She did Red Riding Hood, Twilight, The Nativity Story, Lords of Dogtown, which we've spoken about, which I personally hate, which I've gotten a lot of shit for. But she also did 13, which is an Oscar movie, I want to say, without actually going into more detail about it. So I trust her as a director. This movie isn't badly directed. I think it's impossible to direct Kristen Stewart.
Oh, shame. Leave Kristen Stewart alone.
No! I will take her down.
She's not a bad actress. If you watch her in other stuff, she's really good. I think, like, given the script that they had to work with.
Yeah, to be fair, you know, she basically had to be a vapid teenager for this film.
And I think, apparently both of them kind of signed on thinking it was going to be, like, kind of an indie film.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then they realized they were locked into, like, a 5-movie contract.
Oh, man. That's tough.
Yeah, they both have, like, publicly made fun of the Twilight series.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice. Well, it's not nice for, you know, the film,
Yeah.
but it's nice that they're on the same track for that. But yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, to be fair, and to be fair on everyone involved in this film, Bella's anthem, or whatever it's called, Bella's song,
Yeah.
is one of the most beautiful
It's very pretty.
sort of piano things, and one of my friends could play it, and to be honest, I may or may not have fallen in love with him a little bit because of it. You know, there is nothing kind of more attractive, I think, than a piano person.
That's true. Somebody playing a song that they wrote just for you? I mean, come on.
I mean, that's gonna change your fucking life.
Mm.
I've written poetry for people before. That's just, you know.
Not quite the same.
You see? Exactly. It wouldn't impress you. Like Shania Twain, that don't impress me much.
No, it don't impress
So
me.
you write poetry. That don't impress me much. Alright, so this is next episode. It's not that bad anymore. It's now Shania Twain fan podcast. That's what we're doing from next week.
Perfect. Shall we move swiftly on?
Let's move swiftly on with that double sip that we just both took.
Okay. Breaking Dawn, Part 2. Full disclosure, you guys, I did watch Part 1 for context.
I mean,
the middle two
well
movies,
done.
you can basically skip, to be honest.
Yeah.
All you really need to know from the middle two movies is that the Volturi exist. They're like the council of vampires, and they're like a little evil and weird, and Michael Sheen is in them.
Best.
And Dakota Fanning. And you need
Also
to know that,
weird
like,
casting.
werewolves have their own, like, packs. And, like, when you're in the pack, you can hear the rest of the pack's thoughts. And also, werewolves imprint on people. That means that, like, they see a person, they're like, this is my person. Not necessarily romantically, but often romantically. But just often, I'll be whatever they need to be. I love them. I just need to be around them forever. And Jacob keeps wishing he would imprint so he could stop being in love with Bella. Okay. So, we pick up after the end of Breaking Dawn Part 1, obviously. All you need to know from Breaking Dawn Part 1 is that Bella and Edward finally got married. They had sex while Edward was a vampire and Bella was still a human. Bella immediately got pregnant and insisted on carrying the baby to term. And
Perfectly
then
rational.
had a very upsetting birth scene where she gave birth to this baby, and then to save her life, Edward infected her with vampire venom. So now, in this movie, it picks up after the birth of her daughter Renesmee, most often played by Mackenzie Foy, and Bella is a vampire.
I'm so angry at that name.
Yeah.
Before you even get into it. Also, there's a really dirty joke you could do with vampire venom, but I'm not going to do it. I'll let you all construct that joke for yourselves.
Good luck.
It's below us. It's very low-hanging fruit.
Bella awakens. She is really enjoying her vampire powers. She's super fast, and she has a lot more control than a lot of other newborn vampires would, because she's perfect. That's basically it. Like, that's the whole plot. Like, she's perfect.
Yeah.
She does well. Everything, she says everything feels like it's slowly falling into place. She and Rosalie even grow closer, because Rosalie just wanted a baby all the time. But they realized that Renesmee, I hate saying that name.
Best name. Best fucking name.
That Renesmee is growing at an accelerated pace, and they're trying to keep her existence a secret, mainly because they don't know what's going to happen to her as she continues to grow at this accelerated pace. They worry that their days with her are numbered. Then, the Volturi catch wind of the fact that Renesmee exists, and they worry that she's an immortal child, which is what happens when a vampire turns a human child into a vampire. Basically, this creates, like, vampires who have no control. They destroy entire villages, and these creations were outlawed by the Venturi hundreds of years ago for that reason. Unfortunately, because the Volturi have caught wind of this, they immediately decide that they need to come and inspect and basically wipe out Renesmee and possibly her whole family. In an effort to stop this from happening, the Cullen family starts gathering witnesses, basically people who meet Renesmee and realize she's not an immortal child, she's a half-mortal, half-vampire, and she doesn't pose a risk. I'm not going to go through all of the vampires that they gather for this because it's ultimately pointless, but it's like some family from Russia, some family from Egypt, including Rami Malek, one of them.
Woo!
Some people from, like, the people from Russia includes Mickey from Shameless, anybody who enjoys Shameless.
Woo!
Like, I'm trying to think of who else, like, super famous. Oh, like, two sisters from, like, the Amazon, their family from Alaska. So they're all hanging out at the house waiting for the Volturi to arrive. And because there are so many more vampires in the area, more werewolves start coming into their powers. Just as sort of a supernatural balancing scale. And obviously the werewolves are on their side because Jacob imprinted on Renesmee.
Yep,
So she's his soulmate for life. Like, he's just looking after her. It's not weird, you guys. I
Glad you had to point that out.
Apparently that warranted a whole discussion. So, the Volturi finally arrive. Luckily, even if they all get killed, Bella has a plan with fake passports and IDs so that Renesmee and Jacob can still get out and her daughter will be protected. Volturi arrive. It becomes pretty clear that they're actually just looking for a reason to fight and wipe out the whole family and then keep Alice under their control because they want someone with her future-seeing powers. What follows is the main Volturi guy, I believe Marcus? Arrow. Sorry, it's Arrow.
Yeah, because that's really more believable than Marcus. Yep, that tracks.
You know. Okay, so Arrow has actually always repeated this pattern of murdering families and keeping the most valuable members for random reasons. Luckily, at the last minute, as Arrow, even though he's confirmed that Renesmee is not an immortal child, he still wants to fight. He's still looking for excuses to fight with the family, even killing off one of their cousins. Alice shows up at the final hour and tries to talk to Arrow. What follows is an epic battle. Wolves die, vampires die, Jasper dies, fucking...
Dad dies, Daddy Callan dies.
Yeah, the dad dies, Carlisle dies, and eventually, though, Bella and Edward kill Arrow in, like, an epic fight. It's really cool.
It's very cool.
And none of it happened. It was a dream sequence that Alice was showing to Arrow to prove that he couldn't win if he tried to start this fight. So instead, Arrow just leaves. Oh, and also they're worried because they're not sure what kind of threat Renesmee poses. But luckily, while Alice was away, she found someone who's also half immortal and half vampire. It turns out it's totally fine. Renesmee's gonna age, reach maturity, and then just stay that way forever, so it's fine. And nobody needs to worry. They all head off. Everybody's happy. The movie ends with Bella finally being able to show Edward her thoughts because she can extend her shield-like abilities outwards. She shows him how much she loves him. And that's the end of the movie. They all lived happily ever after.
Well done. That was incredibly cohesive.
Was
and
it?
I'm impressed. Yeah, because you were 100% on point with the facts, which, while they may not be cohesive, you tracked them perfectly, so your precision makes it a cohesive plot summary, I would say.
Okay. I'm glad. I'm glad that somebody thinks so.
I'm proud of you. So, Renesmee.
What a name.
That's the first thing I want to crush quickly. I just want to get rid of that. Renesmee. For those of you who somehow have escaped both the books and the movie, is a combination of the names
of their mothers.
Of Esme, who is the mother of Edward, and Reese's Pieces, a famous peanut butter cup company. No, it's Renee, which is Bella's mum's name, apparently. And that's where writing standards sort of died in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
That's where the benchmark was left.
I have to say, like, because I forgot that the whole battle was a dream sequence, and that was the first time that I got really excited watching these movies, because I was like, oh shit, there's, like, actual sacrifice, and, like, characters that you didn't think would die are actually dying, and you're, like, sad about it, and this is so good. It's like the Battle of Hogwarts at the end of Harry Potter. And then it turns out it was all a dream, and it's so upsetting.
Dream sequences are pure evil.
I can't believe people are still using this writing device.
Like, it's not fun. No one enjoys it.
It's such a cop-out.
Family Guy did a sort of similar thing for their 100th episode, where Stewie kills Lois, and at the end of it, it turns out to be a simulation that that Stewie has run in his simulation machine, and Brian comes and speaks to him about it, and how much of a hack it is, and how bullshit it is. So yeah, even Family Guy the world's dumbest show
Yeah.
realizes how hacky dream sequences are. So you should be ashamed of yourself. But look, that fight scene in itself was amazing.
It was
Dream or
a
not,
really
it
well
was awesome.
choreographed fight scene. It was super entertaining.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. I thought that was very cool. You know, seeing, even if it wasn't a dream sequence, seeing those people die, you did feel things.
Yeah.
It was very much like the MCU, where people die, but they don't actually die.
Don't spoil anything.
Alright, okay. Are we doing this? Is this happening? We're
here to spoil Twilight.
Could you imagine how angry people would be if we did Endgame on this podcast?
Maybe this is like the kind of outrage porn that we need to get the podcast on the map.
Yes, I'm about it. But no, okay, so yes, what did you like about this film?
I liked that the area of contention was no longer that there are different, like, species.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. And it was also nice to not have the love triangle strains of the last couple of movies. Because, you know, Jacob's now imprinted on her daughter.
Which is fine.
It's fine. It's platonic until it's not.
Yeah, which we see in, like, an Alice future shot.
Yeah. You know, whatever. I don't know. I don't want to judge people.
Also, my question about that, of course, is yes, they've imprinted, that's fine and everything, but she's vampire, and he's werewolf, right?
Yeah.
So...
Half.
Two questions. Sorry, half. So two questions, actually. First question is, it's very clear there's an ongoing joke throughout these films that they hate each other's smell, that they can't stand it. It's very, very, like, it's a joke between them all. So how does she get past that?
Maybe she just gets used to it for when she's, like, a baby.
Yeah,
and also she's, like, a half
that.
vampire, so maybe, like, she doesn't smell as bad, and she doesn't, like, really smell him as much.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think we're putting a lot more thought into it than Stephanie Meyer did.
And then my second question is, what happens if they have kids? Because she is half vampire, so she could potentially have kids. Does that mean that the kid will be like, you know, that guy from...
Interesting.
Yeah. Will the kid be like that guy from the Underworld series, who's half vampire, half
I'm sure that
lichen?
we can expect a sequel from Stephanie Meyer at some point when she runs out of money.
Which, very much like J.K. Rowling, will be never, even though J.K. Rowling every now and again just goes, oh, Dumbledore's gay, so there's another 100 million
Everybody
for
reads
me.
the books again.
Oh, what a smart woman. I would never take that away from her.
I love J.K. Rowling. I'll support her forever.
I commend Kirsten Stewart and Robert Pattinson in this film, because obviously they had a really awkward breakup. It was really, really tough.
And then they still had to act super in love and, like, do sex scenes. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, I commend them on that. That's real professionalism, because that's the last thing you want to do with someone you've just broken up with.
Yeah. And I will say, this is kind of a more interesting look at the relationship, because you can see Edward's, like, so proud of how strong Bella is and how controlled she is, which is, like, some of the first, like, interesting emotion you see between the two of them. And what I really appreciated was the scene where he says that, like, he feels like kind of a dick for, like, continuing to tell her that she can't do stuff or she's too weak to do stuff, and then she just, like, fucking nails it anyway.
Yeah.
And, like, that was kind of nice. That was a little bit of character growth, because in Breaking Dawn Part 1, he makes her pregnancy and, like, subsequent death all about him. It's so upsetting to watch. She, like, so they have sex for the first time, and she's, like, covered in bruises. And instead of, like, maybe comforting her or anything like that, like, he's just like, oh, I'm a monster. I'm disgusting. And, like, makes it about him. And then she, like, gets pregnant, and she insists that she, like, wants to have the baby, which, like, I don't want to tell people what to do. But, like, if something's threatening your life and health, there are hard decisions to make, and you don't have to, like, I
mean, there's quite literally legal precedent that says, you know, doctors are allowed to terminate a pregnancy if the mother's life is in jeopardy.
You're not a bad person for making that decision.
Yeah. If you do decide to go the other way, that's fine too. We're not saying that it's not. But, yeah.
I think women face a lot of stigma and issues with that anyway. And yeah, we just don't want to add to that.
Yeah, do what you want to do. Seriously, it's your kid. If you want to terminate.
Stay alive
if you don't.
happy and healthy.
Yeah. And don't date fucking people who make it all about themselves.
Yeah,
Good
like,
Lord.
so throughout her whole pregnancy, so she's, like, starving, and, like, they use CGI to make her look basically anorexic because the baby's, like, eating her from the inside. And still, like, you don't see Edward hug her or hold her or comfort her once. The whole time, he can't even look at her. He's just frustrated every time he looks at her. And he's like, oh, I did this. I made this happen. You know, I can't believe I did this. And it's like, dude, just, like, fucking support your wife.
Yeah, what makes him a monster is how unsupportive he is.
Yeah.
Not that he's a vampire.
The worst. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he leaves it so late to change her into a vampire.
Really
Like,
so
just huge mistakes. And the rest of the family are also sort of complicit in that fucking nightmare. Because, like, literally any one of them could have been like, yeah, I'll bite her, that's fine. Like, I'm not gonna watch this poor young lady suffer.
Yeah, well, Edward angsts over the decision.
Yeah, like, that's fucking horrendous. They're just as bad as he is, really. I mean, I get the whole point. Yeah, he should bite her. Fair enough. But also, no. Fuck it. Not a chance am I letting someone be in pain.
Yeah. But here we are.
But here we are.
I also was really hopeful, so, you know, they're immortal now, and then, like, as a honeymoon gift, they get their own little cabin home to live in. And I was like, oh my god, this is it. We finally get to see, like, what they do when they're alone at home and, like, hanging out. And no, we don't. They just, like, have sex, and then they leave home to go be angsty with the rest of the family.
It's really funny, that scene. I love that scene so much, because she's like, oh, you were holding back. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess. And then she's like, well, we never get tired. What will we do? And it's like, okay, we'll just, like, have sex. And then he goes, oh, yeah, Esme and whatever her face was, where they were insufferable for the first decade. Like, before we could be around them. You've had sex for, like, a week, and now you're back with the family, so obviously you're not even that keen on each other, clearly.
Do you think, like, what I'd love to see, maybe a scene that could have saved it, but I don't think it's a scene that could have saved it, just, like, something that would have been really funny to see, is, like, you know, 10 years down the line, they're like, oh, we actually fucking hate each other. Like, now that it's not controversial for us to be together, or, like, dramatic, like, we actually have nothing in common, because I'm 19 and you're 100.
Yeah, exactly. We're not even from the same time. You've just been going to high school for this whole time. I don't think I could go back to high school. Like, no, insanity. That would have been a good scene, though. Like, them just awkwardly, like, having a cup of coffee and being like, so...
We hate each other, don't we?
Do you like books?
It's never come up before.
Oh. I like her as a vampire, actually. She's pretty cool.
It's really cool that becoming a vampire, like, puts you at your ideal body weight, gives you highlights, gives you cool eyeshadow, and just, like, shows you how to optimally do your makeup and hair.
Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, that's what you need in life, is just a vampire. Wish. Yeah, it's the dream.
Yeah.
But I like the whole vibe that changes around her, and, like, it's a definite shift, and it's a kind of a cool shift.
Yeah.
Like, when she turns into a vampire, the whole attitude is very jovial. It turns, like, you can immediately feel that she's part of the family, where before it was sort of like, okay, well, you know, you love our son, but we've all got to be careful. And then as soon as she's a vampire, everyone's, like, cracking jokes. They're all apparently, like, really cracking wise. They just, like, out of nowhere now can be like, oh,
and it's also cool for her to, like to see her kind of, I mean, it's so late in the series, and, like, you shouldn't need supernatural strength to discover your own inner strength, but that's kind of what the character does.
Yeah.
Like, she becomes this mother, and then, like, she's making these decisions and having these, like, illicit meetings to, like, protect her daughter, and she's, like, figuring out that she can be strong, and she can fight people, and she can protect people, and, like...
Yeah.
I don't know. It was in her all along.
Which is the message we all love. It's what we all go to Twilight to see.
But it's like, you know, you shouldn't have to, like, get married and have a child to, like, figure out that you actually are a strong person.
Yeah.
I highly encourage everybody to figure that out before they do all that.
Especially because Edward was like, no, you know,
You're not a strong person.
Yeah, you're not a strong person. I'm not going to make you a vampire until you're 18 or we're married.
Yeah.
He's so old-fashioned that way, right?
Yeah.
But she becomes pregnant out of wedlock.
Yeah. No,
like,
no,
it's
she
really
becomes pregnant
inconsistent.
at their honeymoon.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I do apologize.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. Okay, sorry.
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 There goes your
No,
argument.
you're right.
But it is very
You're right.
old-fashioned. And again, like, we have to understand that it's coming from an author who is Mormon, so she would have those kinds of values. But you can also, like, figure out that you're, like, strong and cool and tough and have a partner who understands that you're strong and cool and tough without getting married and turning into a vampire.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you enjoy getting married, if you want to get married, if that's your choice,
of course,
and like, just do it. Like, that's fine. Like, I know people who have said to me, you know, they're like 21, 22, and they're like, when you know, and they're married.
Yeah.
And that's fair. That's fine. That's what you want to do.
Good for
There's
you.
nothing wrong with that. I'm glad that that's what you like, and I envy you that you're so sure on something. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But society and things make you believe that, like, that's how the natural progression of life is. You graduate, you get a job, you get married, you have a baby, and then that's it. It doesn't have to be that way, really. You can do whatever you want, really.
And the right person will fit into that.
Yeah, I mean, if this movie shows you anything, life is very short. And, you know, you just got to do what makes you happy at the end. If it's getting married, then do that. If it's doing a mountain of cocaine and writing Cujo, do that. Who knows what happens? No, I condone drug use.
We don't condone it on this podcast. Please just live your happiest, healthiest life.
How the turntables have turned. Tabled. So, moving swiftly on, unless... Do you have any trivia or anything?
Oh, there was some... Oh, so I looked at the awards that this movie won.
Yeah.
It won a lot of Razzie Awards for bad movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But most interesting, it won an award for makeup, which I wholeheartedly agree with. It was interesting makeup. It won I think it was a Razzie Award for worst couple, for Jacob and Renesmee, which is also fair. Understandable. That's weird.
Yeah. Very weird. But it's totally fine, guys. It's just platonic.
It won a couple of awards for best soundtrack.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there was any, like, super interesting trivia.
Oh, I had one.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily for Breaking Dawn Part 2. But, okay, so, obviously, Taylor Lautner is in the first one as Jacob Black.
Oh, Taylor Lautner won a Teen Choice Award for Best Shirtless Scene.
Superb.
Well earned. Well
choice.
Deserved.
Well earned. Well done, guy. Well done, Mr. Lautner. So, he did the first film, and after the first film, they said to him, your body's not good enough for the next film, because we need you to be shirtless, and your body's not good enough. So, you've got 6 months to beef up, or you are off the project. And so he literally transformed his whole body in 6 months so that he could be on the next film.
Jesus.
So that's my trivia.
Wow, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, he looks amazing in New Moon and subsequent films, but yeah, it was basically like, if you don't shape up, we are shipping you out.
It's so dick.
Yeah, it is really uncool. So yeah, that's my interesting trivia from these films.
Yeah, to be honest, not a lot of the trivia is super interesting.
Just like the film.
Like, I guess it would be interesting if you're like a hardcore fan of the books and the movies, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that. We're just pointing out some flaws and why people generally didn't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I read all 4 books, so did you.
Yeah. And we've gotten all the way to the last book. They're married, they're going to live happily ever after, and we still don't know why they like each other.
Yeah. Right, so in that case, the scene that could have saved it.
I don't want to repeat myself with saying, like, I just want to know why they fucking liked each other. I guess I'm thinking sequel-wise. It would be interesting to maybe see Renesmee struggle with the idea that basically she's supposed to end up with Jacob.
Okay.
Because she hasn't technically imprinted on anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be interesting, like, if she's, like, at one point when she's a teenager, to sort of see her be like, well, just because, like, you imprinted on me, how do I know you're the right person for me? Why does this have to, like, be my path?
Yeah.
You know, just, like, go off and figure herself out for a bit.
Yeah, that's nice, actually. That's a really good idea.
Otherwise,
I would watch that
literally,
movie.
she's born and she already has her life figured out.
Yeah. I really like that. That's a really nice idea.
I think it would have been really interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, because can you imagine, like, you're born and I guess you wouldn't really think about it because it's just in the same way as like we're born and we adopt the language that's spoken to us most often.
Yeah.
Like if you're born and there's this guy who's always around, you kind of just think it's normal that he's going to be your like future husband / protector thing.
But then at some point, surely you're like, but like I've never been on a date with anyone else. Like how do I even know what I like?
Yeah, because just because you imprint on someone doesn't mean they imprint on you.
Yeah.
That's kind of the general feeling I got. It just kind of lucked out that it's happened before. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, mine is along the same vein. It also regards resume. It regards my resume. It regards Renesmee in the fact that, you know, I would love to see, because she grows so quickly, but all the people around her are just adults who, like, I would love to see, like, her being like, what the fuck am I? Why am I like this?
Yeah. And she's supposed to reach full maturity when she's 7. Does that mean that she's going to hook up with Jacob then when she's 7 years old?
Like, that's nuts.
Because
like,
even
does
if
it affect your mental
is
capacity?
Maturing at that rate, like, you're not getting the life experience, you're not getting the social experience, you're not getting the education that goes along with being, like, fully physically mature.
Yeah, because all your parents have done in the last year is go and look for people that say you're normal. How uncomfortable must you be that your parents are running around the earth trying to find people that say you're normal?
And it's, like, conceptually such an interesting character that obviously they don't have time to go into because it's all about Bella and Edward, the most boring couple in the series. And, like, I feel like they introduce such interesting plot lines and they just never
that are just completely missed.
Yeah. They're like, it's all gonna be fine, you guys.
We're all good. We'll have a dream sequence, you know, it'll be all good. Oh, that's something we didn't mention, and I've been going on about it for so long, is Michael Sheen's laugh at the end of the dream sequence.
That was amazing. Okay, Michael Sheen knew that he was playing a character for that movie, and he fucking went for it, and I appreciate that.
It is the best laugh, and it took me by surprise when I watched this in theaters, because I did watch this in theaters, and, like, fucking the best thing I've ever seen is that laugh. It will go down in history, and I will make my kids watch this film just for that laugh.
No.
Yes, they will watch this film!
I also want to add that I would have liked the vision to, like, be real, so there was an actual sense of, like, sacrifice and loss.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't just the main characters getting exactly what they wanted with very little effort.
Yeah, I feel sorry for the Russians, because, you know, as...
they just wanted to fight!
They just wanted to fight. They wanted to resume as the leaders, the Council of Vampires.
Don't we all?
Don't we all? I mean, basically, for those of you who haven't seen the movies, for some reason, the Russian vampires used to be in charge. They used to be the Volturi. And then that power got taken away because they kind of got lackadaisical. That's kind of the vibe I got from it.
They just, like, chilled out.
Yeah, and then the Volturis took over, and now they wanted... The only reason they're not there to protect Renesmee. They're not there to fight with the family.
They don't give a fuck about Renesmee.
No. The only reason they're there is to take back power. Just two of them. I
love them. I want to hang out with them.
They're so cool. They're great. And then, like, the fight happens in the dream sequence, and then, like, the Volturi walk away, and the poor Russians are just there, and they're just like, what?
Well, what about the fight?
Are we not gonna fight now? Like, it's bullshit.
Also, like, that fight scene, it was so cool. It made me, like, wish I could just fucking full tilt sprint towards someone in the snow and then just punch their head off.
Yeah, it's the dream. It is the dream.
I've literally got full clenched fists as I talk to Chad because I'm so
She made the punching motion. She made a punching motion. And to be fair, Simone has been doing Krav Maga for over a year now, so you know that she's fucking deadly, guys.
Do you know, one of my colleagues, when I was in Berlin, got, like, really drunk, and I told him that I do Krav, so he's, like, he was, like, proper hammered, the way that only Brits can get.
Of course.
And he's, like, talking to this other guy, and he's like, she'll kick your head off! She'll just kick it off!
She'll just kick your head off!
I was like, we don't even do high kicks in Krav.
Oh, that's great. I think that's your new bio. Simone LaRue, the...
She'll kick your head off.
She'll kick your head off. That's the dream. Nice.
I mean, and that's kind of what I'd want to do if I was fighting vampires. Just sprint towards them in the snow and then kick someone's head off.
I think that's why I would want to be a vampire, is those abilities, the ability, like, super strength, super speed.
Yeah. And possibly superpowers?
Like, what do you think your superpower would be?
Oh, I want a cool one. I want, like, but, like,
No,
also
but it's based on your
one. Like, I want to be
personality,
able
so
to fly, which I know is essentially useless, but I feel like that would be really cool.
It's not useless, and I mean, it's quite common. I mean, I know these vampires don't turn into bats, but it is quite a sensible trope that you would turn into a bat. But, like, it's got to be based on your personality, so you have to be legitimate about this. You can't just be like, oh, I want to fly. Like, it has to be about your personality. So what do you think?
How, like, in D&D, when you had a wizard character and your main power was dancing lights?
Oh, it was
I feel like that would be me. Like, it would just be, like, a little useless. Like Jubilee in X-Men.
Ah, Jubilee. The worst character.
The worst X-Men.
Yeah. So your vampire power would be dancing lights?
I feel like that's what would happen to me, you know? Like, other people get, like, super strength or, like, something useful, like healing or whatever. Yeah. And I'm just fucking there, like, throwing dancing sparkles into the air.
You know what? It's the most fabulous power.
I wouldn't even use it. When have I ever thrown glitter on anything?
Well, that's a life choice that you've made, Simone. And you
I did like the girl who could, like, tase people with her hands. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. She was pretty rad.
Like,
I love
what do you think your vampire would be? Your vampire power would be?
My vampire power would definitely be being able to hear someone sneeze from wherever in the world and saying, bless you. That would be my power. I just know it.
They would just hear the voice in their ear?
Yeah, it would just be like, and that's someone in Africa sneezing, and I'd be like, bless you. And they would hear it. My power would be that. I just know it.
Okay. I mean, that's useful. That's very polite.
It's a very polite power. It's very British.
It is very British. Or being able to tell when the tea is not quite right.
This isn't milky!
This is too tepid!
Did you put 3 tea bags in, you monster?
Or, alternatively, your superpower is just being able to make the perfect cup.
Oh, that would be magic. Especially because they're American vampires, it would be completely useless because they don't know.
You're just trying to, like, talk Michael Sheen down, and you're like, yeah, have this perfect cup of tea. Why does Michael Sheen always make me laugh so hard?
Because he's perfect. I would have loved it if he rode into the fucking fight on a bicycle, and he was just like, stop!
But there's you have to keep editing out me, like, cry laughing every time I think about him in 30 Rock.
On the last episode, I, like, literally got rid of, like, 2 minutes of solid you laughing.
I'm surprised it was only 2 minutes.
Oh, man. It was the best part because it was just these long gaps and then you laughing and then long gaps again.
And now I'm thinking about it again. I hope you're happy.
He leaves, it's like, we'll just be like chums. And he leaves again.
I'll be there always.
Oh, what a show. What a fucking show.
There's only one Wesley Snipes.
You know for a fact there's not.
I'm gonna edit all of this out. I hope you're happy.
So perfect. Okay, so tell me, bad film or bad director?
So the director for this movie is Bill Condon. And Bill Condon is not a bad director.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would have seen his movie Beauty and the Beast, the most recent one, which was pure delight.
Okay, I still haven't seen it, to be honest.
It's really nice. He also directed Dreamgirls.
Ooh, good film.
Uh-huh. Gods and Monsters.
Okay.
The Man Who Wouldn't Die. Mr. Holmes, starring Ian McKellen.
Ooh.
So he's, like, done good movies. And also, I think, like, especially Breaking Dawn Part 2 had such a massive, pointless cast.
Yeah.
And that was still directed pretty well.
Yeah, that is impressive. Good on him.
So I don't think he's a bad director. I think, you know, he had the script to work with, and he just did his best.
Yeah, and I think it's good that he did Part 1 as well.
Yeah.
Just because then at least he could make, like, a cohesive both type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, good on you, Mr. Condon.
Yeah. Good job.
Well done. Good job. Right, so in true fashion, our last segment, which is now entitled Will It Podcast and Things That Simone Can't Wait to See.
The trailer for Punisher Season 2 is out, and I am stoked. I loved the first season of The Punisher. It was so good. I was so relieved that they didn't cancel it along with Daredevil, which I'm still upset about. Yeah, I'm just excited to see Frank Castle back. I'm excited to see his friend as Jigsaw now. And yeah, I'm just, Frank Castle can really fucking take a punch. And I'm excited to see him do it for a whole nother season, along with some great tactical moves.
It's good. I need to get into The Punisher. Now that I'm running out of shows...
you haven't watched The Punisher yet?
I have not watched The Punisher yet.
You have such an exciting journey ahead of you.
I'm excited. I'm excited too. It's going to be good.
Mm.
And for me, I think The Last Laugh... I think that's going to be a terrible film, and I'm excited to review it. So, for some reason, people keep giving Chevy Chase money to do acting.
Oh, shit!
Yeah, and he's in this film. It's about, basically, one of his old buddies who he used to be the publicist for, is in an old age retirement home. He used to be a comic, and then he changed his life to be a podiatrist, and Chevy Chase is now being put into the same old age home, and Chevy Chase is like, oh, well, why don't we go and make you a comedian again at the ripe old age of 80? And so they go on this journey of him becoming a comic, and Chevy Chase being the publicist for him, and their journey of becoming friends again and loving each other and, hope and all that bullshit. So it looks like a proper sort of old school after school special, but it's Chevy Chase.
Are we still letting him do roles?
Why? Like, we know he's not a cool dude.
He's such
we know
a dick.
this. He's a dick. He's from an age where dickheading was cool.
Yeah.
But it's not anymore.
So you're purely not keen on this movie just because Chevy Chase is in it?
Yes, but then I also watched the trailer, and there's, some really lame jokes, and I was just like, okay, so this is just a pale Lifetime
well, it sounds
movie.
kind of like how Red sounds, where, it's all these old dudes, back at it again for the last time. Yeah. And, aren't we done with that?
I think it goes along those same lines. So it's things like Red 2, The Last Vegas. Why are we doing this?
I don't know.
Is it an attempt of Hollywood to try and make us come to terms with death?
I think it's an attempt of Hollywood to get more money out of us and the older
That's
generation.
Fair. That's fair, because they recognize these people. And it's just like, oh, there's Chevy Chase. I remember him from Caddyshack. Oh, he was good in that film. Oh, there was a dancing beaver creature. I believe it is a gopher.
I think that's fair. I'm not excited to have to review the movie for this podcast, but I think it's fair.
Yeah. So look forward to that, and definitely look forward to Simone's Punisher 2.
Chad, I have been waiting all episode. Please ask me what I'm going to cover next week.
Yeah, I'm so excited too, because this, unlike most weeks, we actually don't know what we're covering at this point. So tell me, what are you doing next week?
Chad, I'm finally going to do it.
I'm holding onto things.
Ready Player One.
No, you're not!
I am.
Simone!
I'm doing it. I'm doing it next week. I've decided it's finally time we tackle this beast once and for all.
Oh my fuck, okay. I don't think I'm ready.
For our newest listeners, at the very beginning of this podcast, when we were still fledgling podcasters, Chad and I were reading Ready Player One, and we both hated it, and we were not optimistic about the movie. Since then, the movie has not done super well, and I'm excited to watch it and talk about it.
Yeah, I am too. I can't believe you're doing this. This is so exciting.
I'm so excited.
What a revelation. Man, okay, I'm so excited. Here we go. Fucking yes.
It might have to be an extra long episode because I'm excited about it. What are you doing next week?
I don't even care anymore. Let me give you a bit of backstory on this one, to be fair.
Okay.
For some reason, every now and again, this thing comes up on my Facebook feed called Two Sets. So it's these two guys who speak about violining.
Okay.
And just people being really shitty at violin and things like these.
Sure.
And so it came up on this thing this morning where they reviewed a film called High Strung about the violinists in it. And so I decided that will be my movie. A movie about violinists.
High Strung.
High Strung 2016. So 2016, High Strung. We're excited. We'll cover it in like 15 minutes so that the 45 to 56 minutes will be all about Ready Player One. And I am excited.
I'm ready.
Right, so how are you doing? How's your week been, my friend?
My week has been good, actually. It was my last week of leave. I start work again tomorrow. I've gotten a lot of stuff done. I bought new plants.
Good.
I've got a bunch of basil now that I'm really excited about. And yeah, it's just been a good week, just easing into the new year. I'm really glad I took leave so that I could, like, relax into it instead of hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
And how's your week been? You've also had an exciting week.
Yeah, it's been a very different week. So people may or may not know this, but I am touring again. I used to work for a children's theatre touring company called M&M Productions. And basically they tour around the whole of the UK, Ireland, and Wales, performing shows for kids. And I did this for about a year, and then I went onto the cover list. So say someone got sick, they would call me up, and then I would go do the show. And at the start of the new year, before the new year actually, one of the managers called me up and asked me to cover on a show that I've done before, which is Cinderella.
Yay!
Yay, Cinderella. But I would not be playing Prince Charming this time, which I had done previously. I would be playing the evil stepmother and the prince's butler. So it's been an experience. Last week was the first week, and it's been really fun. This team is really, really good. They're really fun people, and I'm really happy to be on the ground with them. We've been having a lot of fun. We're currently sort of just outside London, and we'll be here for 2 weeks, so it's really, really good fun. And I mean, unlike other teams, like, they've just been really cool. I was like, oh, I've got a podcast, from 3 o'clock, and they were like, yeah, that's fine. We'll just do our own thing. And I was like, yeah, that's so really nice. Cool.
Thanks,
yeah,
guys.
They're really, yeah. So I'm pretty sure they'll be involved in watching High Strung and Ready Player fucking One with us for next week. What a week. Fuck yeah. So that's it. We've done it again, Simone, and somehow we did this week.
You know, I'm proud of us. I think we need to tackle the Twilight Saga eventually.
So where can the people find you?
People can follow me on Instagram at simone.le.raux. They can read my articles at Forge and Flint. They can follow the podcast at It's Not That Bad 1 on Facebook and Twitter, and It's Not That Bad Podcast on Instagram. And where can people find you?
They can find me, you can find me on Instagram and at Twitter on chatspeed1993. Instagram I'm not so big on, but Twitter, I do stupid jokes every now and again. Yeah. And then you can also find me on Forge and Flint, of all my articles. You can also find some amazing short stories and poetry there. And I mean, I know I say it as a joke every week, do the whole subscribing thing to your pets and whatever, but seriously, that's how we get bigger, and that's how more people can hear us.
Reviewing us if you're listening to us on iTunes, that would be amazing.
Seriously, like, it's all algorithmic. Like, it's huge how much, like, it's ridiculous that we have to pander for it, but we really would super duper appreciate it if you did that, because it's how we grow. And we would be really, really thankful, guys. Seriously. We thank you for listening to this podcast anyway. It's really huge for us that, people are actually willing to listen to our shit for like an hour. But if you could subscribe, if you could give us a rating, it would be really appreciated. Beyond what you could think. And we'll see you next week for such an exciting episode. I'm so excited. And as we say at the end of every episode,
we love you and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you and there's nothing you can do about it. Goodbye.
Bye.